I'm just going to maybe limit us to about 20, 30 minutes here at the podium. We're going to have a brief discussion, a debate sort of, where we are going to be interacting by ourselves, looking at certain issues, beginning from Dumeni Mkuru in his aspect. I understand that he does work with the government through ADA. We also have Wendy here, who is the head of agronomy of SEEDCO, the biggest seed house in Zimbabwe. And here I have the representative from the Zimbabwe Farmers Union. So this is what we are going to be doing. They represent the constituency of farmers, be it youth, women, as well as those who are getting into retirement or retirees. In myself, I'm going to be speaking a bit on agribusiness as an agribusiness strategist. Then Wendy is going to come on with agricultural education, the skills, the strategies a farmer can employ in their cropping enterprises. Even if they are into livestock, you still need a bit of crop to ensure that your livestock is having nutrition, they are healthy, and you can take them to the market. Then Mudumeni Mkuru here will be representing the government. I understand that there are policies, there are initiatives that are being undertaken through ADA. I understand that there's been funding and financing that ADA has been giving to our farmers. So at this point in time, I'm going to give Wendy here a brief moment to introduce herself. Just in a minute, we are out of time.
Thank you so much, Wadza. I was almost tempted to say you can introduce me because I know that you know me very well. So all protocols observed. I'll just start by wishing myself a happy birthday because today is my birthday. So why I started off on that note is because every year added to everyone is a year closer towards retirement. So I'm also in the process of going towards retirement. So retirement is not only for the people in this room. Everyone needs to have a retirement plan. That's why I started on that note. So the talk that I'm going to give today, I think in terms of just a brief introduction, I highlighted it, start yesterday. Because procrastination is the thief of time. You need to start yesterday. Quoting the Bible in Ecclesiastes 11, verse 4, it says, if you wait for perfect weather, you will never plant your seeds. If you are afraid that every cloud will bring rain, you will never harvest your crops. So failure is a part of the journey. So the important thing is for us to start. With that said, I would just like to give those as opening remarks. Thank you, Adza.
A round of applause for Wendy. Indeed, I could have introduced her because we are always together. But at this point in time, I'm going to give Manganizai Makoho, who's with ZFU, an opportunity to give us a brief introduction. I understand they do represent farmers. A brief introduction from you.
Morning, everyone. All protocols observed. My name is Nanganidzai. I don't know who have a longer name than mine. Nanganidzai Mako, a Shona name. So I'm sitting on the capacity building department from Zimbabwe Farmers Union. Your all-weather friend, the voice of the farmer, who always listen to the who always gives you the ear and also try to negotiate with government to have the farmers' rights, the farmers' voice to be heard. So to start off with my presentation is to just give this phrase where I'm saying retirement is a season of life. Often when you think you are at the end of something, you are at the beginning of something. So we need to move from the comfort zones that we have been always been when we're still in situ, or while we are still in situ, so that we get into the learning zone. There are fears, which are also fears that you always come to meet when you move out of your comfort zone, but those are the perfect and best strides for your success. So in this discussion, I'll try to lean on the success factors of an entrepreneur basing our discussion on agriculture. Thank you and a good morning to you all.
A round of applause for her. Now, as we get into our discussion, into this debate, I would like to direct this to Ms. Yvonne Craig. You would find that the government has policies in place or initiatives that are imparted to the general populace through the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Lands, Agriculture, Fisheries, Water and Rural Development. Could you maybe cite or highlight some initiatives that are in line with entrepreneurship in agriculture for those who are headed into retirement? Someone who's left with maybe 2 years while serving in the Civil Service Commission, or someone who's already retired. I understand that there are programs for the youth, there are programs for women, but for those who are moving back into the society as retired, what sort of initiatives or policies that you might want to highlight that embrace them, that uplift them?
Thank you so much. You find there are a lot of initiatives which the government is undertaking and in terms of promoting agriculture. And why agriculture? Because it has been discovered that nearly everyone in Zimbabwe is a farmer, and everybody has got land where they can utilize by doing some agricultural projects. So you find that on the projects which are there, I'll start with PIP, which is the Fumvudza project for small scale and rural farmers. You find with Fumvudza, everybody qualifies, irrespective of your political affiliation and irrespective of your church affiliation and your background, your gender, everything, everybody benefits from that project. And if you look at it again, this is communal, whereby you get your enough fertilizer, enough seed, herbicide, just to do 4 plots of different crops. That's your maize. We are looking at oil seeds. We are looking at small grains. And then it is actually tailor-made to make sure that whatever crop you are putting in your ecological region actually performs to its maximum potential, because there is a very good match of your ecological region against what you are going to grow. And the advice is, which is another plus which the government is coming with, more than 6,000 extension officers on the ground to assist farmers, which farmers do not contribute to pay them a salary. The salary is paid by the government and they give you a free service. And also, if you look at where on the Fumvudza is the age as well, there's no age restriction. Any age still qualifies to that. So pensioners, retired people, everybody actually benefits from that initiative of Fumvudza. You simply, the passport to that, you simply need to dig your holes and make sure your mulch is in place, and then you go in and plant. There are also other projects like VBUs. VBUs, we have got 35,000 villages in Zimbabwe. So each village is going to qualify for a 1 hectare horticultural project or garden. And on the 1 hectare, there will be a borehole drilled, a prolific one. There will be tanks, drips, irrigation set up. There are going to be fruit trees, fisheries, everything that. So the community around that 1 hectare are going to work in as workers where AFC actually pays, and the market for that is driven by AMA, which helps with the marketing of the produce, and the fruits, the same thing. Where you are going to harvest, sell, or value add by making juices, by making pickles, by making jam or juice, whatever value addition you are going to carry out on that. And the idea again on the VBUs is, after you've established, you can also formulate a family business unit where you copy and replicate at a family level, where you are also going to say whatever produce you get, you feed into the VBU for market purposes, riding on the advantage of what is happening already through AMA, and then you'll be able to make your money through the VBU and direct through the family business unity. There are also chickens for women, and 10 per household, which are going on. Distribution in Zimbabwe is big. Distribution is started and is slowly moving, but people are benefiting from chickens. Some have matured the chickens already, some have eaten, and some have actually sold, and the business is growing. We also have DDPs, dairy development projects, where the community actually have dairy cows. They milk their cows, they bring to the center, and then the milk is paid by whoever is the off-taker. It can be, but mostly it's dairy board, and we've got Neso as well. They come by, and then after they've purchased, the farmer gets the money direct. And the GOAT project for men is another project going on. And commercial farmers are supported through the agro yield project, through CBZ, AFC, Nedbank, and you know, the list is endless. There is a lot, but the idea about this is a vehicle taking us to 2030, so that we arrive in 2030 when everybody else is living comfortably, so that when we retire, we are retiring comfortably, because we've been given a capital to start a retirement project by our president. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to direct this to you, Wendy. And looking at time, could you also try to be timeous when responding to these questions? Because I would like to open the floor to the retirees very quickly before we go on to the tea break. Now, when you would find that as a seasoned agronomist working throughout Zimbabwe, the nature or the type of varieties or type of crop that a farmer tends to choose is normally detected by their financial muscle or their capital resources or their infrastructure at their farm. It is what dictates whether they are going to be getting into wheat, into soya bean, into silage, whatever. Could you maybe highlight to our audience, those who are watching us today in here, what do retirees normally gravitate towards? I know you interact with youth, with young women, with organizations, with churches. What do retirees, those, when you look at them, you say, what do they tend to gravitate towards in terms of crop selection, variety selection? Is it field crops? Is it vegetables? What are they looking for? What do they like?
Thank you so much for that very pertinent question. Allow me to give a two-pronged short answer in the sense that you find that retirees or people who are approaching retirement, they tend to want to look for avenues that seem simpler, less taxing, crops that seem simpler to produce. So they usually gravitate towards maize production. Where you find that with maize production, they'll be thinking that since they grew up in a village where maize was produced, they can still go back to those practices, albeit with a little bit of technical assistance or information in terms of fertilization, but not to the level where the production should be. So they usually gravitate towards maize, towards usually maize and small grains in the low rainfall areas. But some of them now, through just interacting with others in society, they hear one person saying, I have a greenhouse and it was successful. I have done onions, like what Craig was saying. I've done cabbage, and they want to do that. But I feel that in my second part of the answer, I feel that there are some rules of engagement that our senior citizens are failing to appreciate before they venture into any enterprise. Because farming, like any other enterprise, is a business. So allow me to just give a few 5 nuggets of engagement in agriculture. So the first port of call is that you need to conduct market research. Without market research, how do you know that what you are producing is going to be viable? How do you know you are producing at the right time? So without getting deeper into the explanation of that, the second point is you need to start small and scale gradually. So usually, like you said, Wadza, resource endowment for our retirees, senior citizens, or seasoned employees, you find that they might have a lot of resource endowment because of the number of years that they might have worked. So they might just want to start big in their enterprise because they are thinking, if I start big, then I have chances of succeeding. Then my retirement plan, my lifestyle won't be affected when I retire. So starting big is not always the solution. You need to start small and hone your craft gradually. Then you'll be able to get to where you want to go to. And then the third one is to utilize sustainable practices. So in a bid to understand sustainability, it's very broad. The term is very, very broad. Sustainability is about, you need to start working with what is practical and doable for you for the long run. If you want to start by establishing your crop, maybe you want to start with a commercial production, but you don't have the means to sustain a commercial production after retirement, why not start with an intensive farming program, a Pumvudza plot, which Craig was referring to. And then from there, once resources allow, once experience allows, you then grow bigger. You need to start with something smaller and utilize sustainably the resources that you have. And then the fourth one is to network with other farmers and agribusiness experts. So if you are venturing into a field or an area where you don't have all the expertise or skills for, you need to knock on the doors of those who have done it before you. Benchmarking is very important for you to understand how they have done it. They have paid the school fees already. Why do you need to do some of the mistakes that they have done? So the challenge is sometimes with our seasoned employees is that they feel they know it all. Because of age, there is a cultural belief that by being older, you are wiser in every aspect. But that doesn't really occur when you want to venture into a business which is not in your comfort zone. So it's important for you to understand that. Then lastly, point number 5 is to leverage your experiences and skills. So agriculture, one thing that I have realized is that agriculture allows you to take the skill you have in accounting, the skill you have in engineering, the skill you have in selling, if maybe you are a salesperson, and bring it to agriculture. So whatever skill you have, it has a place in agriculture. It can add value. And the years of experience that you have had in that particular field can still be applied in agriculture as well. So as a few nuggets of advice, those are the nuggets that I can share at the moment.
Now I want to come to Zimbabwe Farmers Union. Nangani Dzai Makoho. I know that you represent farmers, various constituencies. You represent the youth, women, etc. And I know that in your union, you also do have retirees that you also represent. You are sort of like the biggest farmer union in Zimbabwe at the moment. When you do your inspections or your interactions, moving around throughout the geographical locations of Zimbabwe, what are you seeing that the senior citizens are mostly interested in? Because I know maybe at the end of this session, there are those who might want to get in contact with you and be a part of your union. Mamuru kutenderaumo, ma senior citizens are kuitei. Senior citizens. I know if you go to the youth, we have tobacco, we have those who want to pen fattening, they go kumbare nemadomasa and stuff. What are the senior citizens mostly embracing and gravitating towards, so that those who are listening in agriculture, when they always says kukopa kunestaira, they want to know kuti vamwe vamuno representa vari kumboita nezvei mukatu.
Thank you, Wendy. Tikadzoka kuchikoro kana tiri muexam hanzi usakopa, but to the farmers, that's the best way to learn. You learn from your mistakes, you also learn from copying from your neighbors and also your friends. So as Zimbabwe Farmers Union, this year we commemorated the 84th year as the largest and the oldest farmer union in Zimbabwe. So we are 84 years in existence. We are found in all the provinces in Zimbabwe, including the metropolitan provinces. We also value the issue of urban farming, where we say it's not all of us who are retired or retirees who are going to the rural areas. Some have already made their way to be in urban areas, but while they are in the same areas, they still need to survive on land. So you find them doing different projects. Others who have also made it well, they said when they are retiring, they also want to rest. So, as part of their resting, in doing the agricultural work activities, they are having like a succession plan where they take one of their sons, their daughters, within them, and then they put them into the agricultural academic colleges, and then they work together. So you'll find that even if they are going to for the traditional agriculture that we have, growing the grains, the livestock growing in Matebeleland, you'll find that they now have the young ones who will be running. So that's why as ZFU, we also had to split ourselves to cater for the young people, the women, and also the main wing, which embraces everyone. So you'll find that the majority of the farmers whom we work with, you'll find that they are women. And then the men, yes, they do come, and they also give their, they come and give their advices. As Wendy was saying, you have a vast experience and knowledge with you. So at times you don't need, like coming from a director level, you still want to direct the activities on the farm. So they also come. So they are into those different categories where we have them in animal husbandry, the poultry, the livestock, big and small, the growing of our traditional grains, irrigation, and also for those who are having like the succession plan with the young people, you'll find them diversifying into high value crops where we have like the drip irrigation with those different high value crops like the tomatoes, the green peppers, the peppers, and all those, the cauliflowers, you find them doing. So it's not like they are still in the old way of agriculture. They are also coming up as entrepreneurs because when they also come to Zimbabwe Farmers Union, we also advise them to have insurance on their health. So you'll find that they also work for their retirement in terms of the production on the agriculture and also on the insurance so that they have their social protection during their retiring moments. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you so much, ZFU represented by Nangani Zai. I'm going to come to you, Mudumeni Mukuru, looking at issues surrounding irrigation. In the spirit of being practical and pushing practicality when having debates, most people are failing to venture into cropping or even livestock because of a lack of irrigation infrastructure or irrigation support, which means that we cannot rely on rain-fed agriculture as farmers. If you want to take farming as a business, you cannot rely on rain-fed agriculture. And at times we are speaking to our senior citizens, those who are headed into retirement. He has gathered a few financial resources irrigation, because even if you want to do groundnuts or sweet potatoes, you're gonna need some form of irrigation, some mode of irrigation. From a government's perspective, in terms of irrigation and even mechanization, what opportunities are there for my retirees? I know for the working class and for those vibrant farmers, they can just go to Stanbic and have support in terms of a loan, to an tractor, to an center pivot track. But for these retirees who are retiring, Jakamira say, or those who are headed into retirement, Varkuda irrigation, this is very topical in the country at the moment. Even if you want to do maize, even if you want to do nyimochaizo, you're gonna need some form of irrigation at some point in time. How is the government supporting retirees in terms of irrigation structures, irrigation financial support? What is it like?
Thank you, Ada. You find that water is the source of agriculture. And in my presentation, I talked of after selecting your project, what comes first is water. Do you have water available to carry out the projects? And for it to be sustainable, it has to be throughout the year. So basically, you find, apart from the current 460 irrigation schemes we have in the country, You find with these irrigation schemes, they are community irrigation schemes, where even the people who are about to retire or who have retired have got an opportunity to go in and join those projects. And you find there are some dams which have been constructed and some are under construction, which again people can benefit from. You find Mat North, we've got a dam which is under construction and is going to create about 10,500 hectares, a green belt right up to Blueyo. Mashonaland West, we've got a dam which is under construction and is going to benefit a lot of people all the way from Upper Gurue right down to Mushumbi Pools, and is going to be a green belt benefiting about 10,000 hectares. We've got Kanyemba, where we've got water which we are tapping from Zambezi, a huge hectarage again, over 20,000. If you look at Togwe Mukosi, another 30,000 hectares. So really, the water we have at the moment, you find that a lot of people can benefit. And there are some people or pensioners who are smart. There is a project which ADA is running, whereby we'll soon launch it, whereby you can buy shares into farming project, and then as the project expands, your money expands as well, and you can earn a profit out of that. And the 35,000 village business units I've mentioned, these can be cascaded down to a family level. These can be cascaded down to a community level, whereby we are saying 35,000 is a big number for the government to go around and do the, sink the boreholes and establish the 1 hectares and so. But the initiative is there. We've seen where it has been established and is doing well. Put heads together. If you are 10, it means it's $500 each. The $500 contribute, you've got your 1 hectare to start off with. It's the initiative. What is it that you are thinking outside the community that can make the community grow and that can sustain the community around? From 1 hectare, imagine if you do tomatoes, which will give you about $37,000. If you do potatoes, which can give you minimum $18,000, and out of $18,000, and you are 10 of you, it's 1,800 each, which is actually more than the 500. It's 3 times more than the $500, the capital which you have injected in. You can now afford to say, after a year, on the 10 people, you can actually sink a borehole and establish a hectare for each community. So these are the brains we are saying. Let's not only wait for the government. Zimbabwe is big, the population is big, there's so many projects. So if you wait in the queue, you wait for a longer time. But if you initiate the project, you find that you have done justice to the government and you have initiated a community project which will benefit you as a retired person. Also the community will say, saka zvinoita, takadi kugara tichizviita. So let's go and do that. Water comes first, and as we work together as a community with your brains, you'll find that we'll be able to do a lot of agricultural projects using your initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And when I come back for the final round, Kwamuri Mdumeni Mukuru, I want us to speak about issues surrounding joint ventures. I would like to believe that the majority of my senior citizens are Rimunom, they do have land. But they do not have the financial capacity to undertake either wheat, either soya beans, either what. Saka vanhu ivava pamudhumeni mukuru vobatsirika sei munda anotori nawo 200 hectares kukaroi pamwe panotori nedhemu nemabhana akutova zvawo dilapidated, but financial muscle, the economic muscle yekuti adyare dzinde refodya haana, but ane munda. But pane nyaya yekutyira kure, because in the spirit of being practical, pane nyaya yekutyira kure kunzi vanobva vanzi vatova nemurungu ari ipapo hameno kwavakaona nakuharare pavakaenda pagarwe vakabva vaintroducwa ndobva vatotanga kutorima nemurungu. So at times people are failing to be productive and to produce because nyaya idzodzo hadzizi very clear. Kune kwadzinotaurwa kawerewere, but kupublic hazvinyatsobuda. Pane vamunongoona vatosimuka vachinzi vane joint venture, but kuti munyatsoziva kuti vakatsika papi kuti vasvike pavave. So I think pandiri kudzoka apa ndamboenda pana vendi garai muchinyatsofunga kuti vobatsirika sei vanhu vane minda but havana mari. Now coming to you, Wendy, which strategic areas in crop production would you want to say to these retirees, my senior citizens, akatarisa, mukatora zvenyu kuri manzungu, munopunduka, mukatora chibage, because at times people get ahead of themselves, they become over ambitious in agriculture. Anotaura kuti ndoda kuita 100 hectares dzewheat mumabasa medu. Just giving my practical examples, Wendy, unotofonerwa at times after program wadzanaendera kuita 100 hectares dzefodya. So kuti umutsure kuti madi matanga ne2 from 100 unoita sewadzikisira murimi wapunza moyo wake. But iwewe as an agronomist, which strategic areas in crop production would you say my retirees can take advantage of? Number 1. Number 2, mdumeni mkuru aripo, which strategic areas would you want to emphasize kuti hurumende, I understand we have my policy makers in here, kuti mukabatsira varimi nezvirimwa izvi vanorarama. What are your sentiments on that?
Thank you so much. I'm going to answer this question by giving 7 drawbacks of agriculture entrepreneurship. Why? Because some of the questions that we get, like you rightfully stated, around what can I do, also hinge on what you should not have done initially. So I'll start off by giving examples, and then I'll narrow it down to a very practical example of a case study of what happened, I think 2 months ago, with one farmer who wanted to start farming 4 months before retirement. So 7 drawbacks that I would like to highlight. The first one is underestimating initial costs. So the very important thing that you need to do is that when you look at it from a distance, as the common saying goes, the grass is always greener when you're on the other side. So when you're looking at a business venture, you are not seeing the sweat, you're not seeing, social media nowadays, there's a lot of emojis. So there's this emoji about a successful person and everyone else who's at the bottom is saying, it was easy, they got it from their parents. And then at the back, people were not seeing the thorns, they were not seeing the knives, they were not seeing the torn clothes. In the front, they were seeing the tie. So this also happens in agriculture as well. Sometimes it might look rosy when you're looking at it from the other side and you think, no, how expensive could it be? How hard could it be? So it's important for us not to underestimate the initial cost that is required. Even the irrigation that Craig is highlighting, if you are going to start setting up an irrigation setup, maybe you might need to start with drip irrigation on 2 hectares instead of the 20-hectare pivot that you want to start with, or instead of the 100-hectare recent technology of a pivot that you have heard of from your neighbor. So we need to not to underestimate initial costs. The second one is failing to conduct proper research, and we have hammered on that. The third one is ignoring physical demands. On this one, I'll go a bit deeper. Sometimes the physical demands that might come in agriculture that sometimes you need to be walking the field, scouting, you need to be there physically. But you also need to understand that as we grow older, our system is also maturing. So you also need to employ methods or mechanisms of easing the burden on yourself. It doesn't mean you need to do it yourself all the time. Just get people who are also going to lessen the burden for you so that you don't end up having a lot of physical demands that you end up failing to achieve. Then not developing a proper business plan. So because we grew up as farmers, it's easy for us to think, because my father was doing it, because I grew up on a farm setup, I can also do it. But it's a business, it's a science. So you really need to sit down, put pen to paper, draft a business plan, engage experts like Wazanai here, and get the proper pros and cons and what to do, and in terms of the accounting principles that are required as well. Then the fifth one is neglecting technology adoption. So usually as human beings, naturally, we shun away from things that we don't understand. We shut them out. So technology is unfortunately one of the things that senior or experienced employees fail to grasp. So because of that, they tend to shun away and stay away because they don't want to ask for assistance. Like I highlighted, you have experience, you are big in your circle, but to then go and ask to say, do buy a puppy, that's a very difficult question. So let's embrace technology in the form of the digital space and in the form of technological equipment and mechanizations that are available to ease the burden that we might face in farming. And then number 6, overextending financial resources. Sometimes you think that the resources that you have will continue to expand until infinity. You'd rather keep your resources confined Start with a small project, keep the resources on the side, see how it goes, and then go in again with an expansion plan. Don't start with an expansion plan before the initial plan has come to fruition. And then the 7th one is not building a support network. So the unfortunate thing is that as we grow older, because of the experiences we undergo, we tend to close up. As the common saying goes, that it's colder at the top, and that you have fewer friends as you get to the top. So sometimes you find that you don't have a good support network. But that support network, you're going to need it. If your business venture is going to be successful, you will fall. You need also some people to hold on to, some people to discuss with. So a support network is very, very important. So as I wind up just that comment, 2 months ago, one senior a person who was approaching retirement came to me, and for this one, allow me to explain it in Shona. Vakauya vakativo, ndikuda kutanga kurima mdimeni ndoita sei, saka vakauya kuri kubasa. Saka vanodyidzana nevakuru vebasa. Saka kwakwatiwo kuma4 kupera kwezuva. Ndobva vati ivo, saka ndoita sei, zvikaine vakuru vebasa, ava wotovaona. Ivo vakati, manje mangwana ndinoenda kuchechi, ndikataiwa zvakanaka. Zvikaine vakuru vebasa, saka anouya Sande. Ndikataiwa zvakanaka, basa takaripikira. Saka musi weSande ndinouya. Ndobva ndatsvaka murimisi wembesa dzemuriwo, inini ndichibatawo mafield crops. Ndikati ngatibatanei tinobatsira kuti shefu vangarimei. Ndobva tabuda, shefu vane mota yavo hombe yakakura zvikuru, ndingada kuti Land Cruiser. Varipo pamberi shefu, isusu tiri kuteverawo kumashure tichienda kumunda. Ndokuenda kumunda kuHeadlands uku. Tichinoita setosvika takubvunzana newana ndakagarisana naye, ndikati uchiti iwe hapasi pane tengi apo, pane tengi regreen riri papo iro. Iye akati hakana, shefu havangambo kuti tengi iro chete. Haisiri kutoseka paya, wanike shefu ndobva vatomira paya shefu, isusu ndobva tatoti ndipo pano patiri kuenda. Tapaka paya taburuka. Ndokutotanga kutoona kuti pamunda pashefu pane kebhini yepuranga yanga ine marooms maviri. Ndo yanga iripo, netengi iro riya regreen ndo ranga riripo, nestand ndo zvanga zviripo pamunda pashefu. Ndokuchitanga kutoona kuti kwatiri kubvira kwacho kunenge kure. Ndokuchizotanga kukurukura. Saka ivo vanga vachifambidzana nani nemunhu weirrigation. Saka munhu weirrigation anga auya kuzoona kuti vanga vaisa bore a year ago chef. Havasina kuona, havana kuuya kuzoriona. Saka pavanga vauya nemunhu wedrip kuti abva avaudza measurements edrip, isu tichivaudza zvekudyara. Saka ndobva tatanga nekuenda zvikanzi bore riri kutora nguva yakadii kuti rizadze mvura. Bore wanike riri kungoti rikati fambi ngoti 5 minutes ramira. Kureva kuti capacity yemvura hapana, which means sighting a bore most likely yanga iri wrong from the word go. Saka vakatotswa shefu, asi vakatobhadhara kudhara, gore rapera vanga vatobhadhara. Ndobva taenda paya nemunhu uya weirrigation adzura zvinodzugwa zviya mumugodhi, vatarira zvikai chamakaisigwa hachisiri icho shefu. Zvikaina iwo inge vakomana kuti vakati vagona wanenge vati vaita basa. Saka vakandipa chisiri icho, these guys handitika. Ndobva tatoona kuti hapana zviri kutobuda pano. Shefu vaida kudyara out of 120 hectares vaida kudyara 10 hectares. Asi kuuya kwanga vaita kubasa kwedu ndiko kuti vaitoda donation kuti vadyare pamunda ipapo. Ndobva tatoona kuti mu4 months retirement plan yavo, agricultural vision yavo yanga isiri kuzobuda zvakanaka. Ndokuchizoti madii machidyara 2 hectares kana 3 hectares. Saka ndodza vakatoitawo land prep izvezvi ndobva mbeu vapuwawo kuti vadyare. But I want you to understand kuti hatifaniri kusiya zvinhu kusvika last minute. Ndobva ndavabvunza manje in conclusion, Wadza, sorry for stealing your time. Ndobva tavabvunza tikati ashefu, munda wenyu uyu une potential isingaiti, because kana waenda kunoona farmer unofanira kusiya farmer ane a positive note, chero zvisina kunge zvisina kunyatsomumira zvakanaka. Ndobva takomenta tikati shefu, panapa pane potential pamunda penyu. Muri kuona type yesora riri kukura pane rinoratidza kuti pane chikafu. Chero kala yevhu iyi iri kuratidza kuti pane potential, munda wenyu une potential. Maane makore mangani muri pano? Svika ndakauya muna 2012 nashefu pamunda pane cabin ine 2 rooms. Muri kuzviona? Saka ngatisamirirai last minute, ngatishandisei mukana watinawo. Ndosaka ndafunga inini kuti the starting point should be start yesterday. Takatononoka, ngatitotangirai patiri ipapo. Thank you, Wadza.
Thank you so much, Wendy, for that practical example. Now coming to you, Veku ZFU, I want us to look at issues surrounding the grievances, the desires, the wishes of my retirees. At times you interact with my youth, At times you interact neswana wadzanai when you come on our TV platform. Motaura zvamunenge muchitaura, at times munenge muchipainta a good picture, but pasapa varimi vane zvichemo zvavanotoda kuti ZFU ivasvitsire kuhurumende. Tinavo vaCraig vari pano. Zvakamira say, what do farmers expect? What are their desires? What are their grievances? What are their wishes? Maritirees vanenge vachimbodei. Bosi kune vamwe vari kuda kutopinda muindustry. Havasi kutoziva zviri kuchemera vamwe vavo vagara varimo. Saka varimi vamunoshanda navo asiri mayouths, ivo vati kwegurei ava vati vasiya mabasa, vanenge vachinyanya kutaura kuti vanodei seZFU, zvii zvavanoda.
Thank you, Wadzi. Truly, agriculture should be one of the high-paying jobs in this country, because as Zimbabwe, we always fall back on the land and its potential as a resource to us. So some of the grievances that came from the farmers are the late payment of their produce when they send their produce to the market. Can I take this opportunity to just highlight some of the institutions, like when they produce their grain, send their grain to Grain Marketing Board, and also like the COTCO, the late payments of those crops. And at times, it also comes in the local currency at the same rate with the devaluated amount. So for them to have the next, to be in the next season, you'll find that it will be very difficult for the farmer. And at times when they get the inputs from our outlets, they get the inputs in the US dollar, foreign currency, and then their payments comes in with the local currencies. So that is also a major setback to the farmers. The other issue is of land. We did not all benefit land from the land reform program, and some whom are also looking forward to go for retirement, they don't have that resource. And just maybe to just give a recommendation that we have also been trying to give others is to lease land or use our communal lands. I understand some of the farmers who have moved from the communal lands to the new resettlements, they've left land which is idle in those communities. Let's go and look for that land and we utilize it. The other issue of the other challenges of markets. The farmers are always complaining. If you look all the farmers who are from Toko, Murewa, they say, coming to Mbare is now congested. Congested with the produce, congested with even the people. They cannot even have space to breathe. They don't have space to put their produce. They always say, can we have other outlets which are maybe the same, like Mbare, but in other locations? So this is also a major setback for the farmers. And the other thing is, for the horticultural products, they are looking for the cold chain, where we don't always go to Mbare with our produce at the same time, but we also need to preserve the produce, put into the market at a time where it is wanted and to the rightful people at the right time. So the cold chain is also another avenue where we can also reduce congesting the markets. They also talk of mechanizing agriculture, because at times, if you see these people, when they are saying we are retiring, their savings have been eroded, and For them to have the mechanized agriculture with them, it's very difficult. But at the same time, they want to be productive, and they also want to be to have profitability from the land. So they are also looking for mechanization in terms of the planting, the plowing, the cultivating, the processing of their produce. And the other thing is also access to information. They always say, we also need the software so that we are equipped and we also produce to the best of our ability with the knowledge that we always get. So at times, extension service is also not to their reach, as people who are also retiring. At times, these people, they also have their own experiences in their different careers or past careers, but they also need the farming knowledge. So those are some of the issues that I can say as of now. And also the other thing is the financial linkages with the financial institution. They say they come with their own, they come with their own packages, not the tailored package for the farmer. If you are looking for someone who is into who is into livestock, who is into maybe orchard, those projects or activities, they have a long-term benefit, and they also come into a long time to pay back their loans. So you'll find that most of the packages from our financial institutes, they usually come in short phrases where the farmer will not be able to pay back at that time because his crop or his livestock is not yet paying back to the business. So we also need to look at that as financial institutions to help the farmers make it easy. Then lastly, I will say maybe we also need to have packages for retirees, both the software and the hardware as a package when they are going into their retirement as a package. We also need to look at those things. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And just to reiterate on what you were saying, I know for some reason that at times farmers vanopindwa nemweya wekushaya ma-options, do or die. You end up parting with your title deeds. Eimba pamwe yamakatenga 1982. Moenda nayo kubank, anchatauri zvangu mabanks acho. Moenda nayo kubank, imba iyoyo yopuwa value isina kana maturo at times. In exchange mopuwa pamwe 10,000. 10,000 euro is not even enough kuti mukwanise kuriritira vashandi nyaya dzanamagetsi dzema-labor costs, and you end up losing your house in the spirit of farming. Farming should not be a way of losing, but of edifying on top of what you already have. It will be a very sad scenario kuti imba yamakatenga 1987, 1997 maitwa sweet talked into ukuya ne-collateral, because the people you are meeting kuma banks and those institutions are just our ages. Nana Wendy, 32, 33, we'll be talking to you about imba ya 1987, ya 1997. So those are some of the things that I always talk about as an agribusiness strategist. Weigh your options, and at times kana zvinhu zvisingaiti hazviiti, you wait for another opportunity. Now looking at nyaya yanga tichitaura iyoye, I know kuti time yedu iri kudyanana nesu sterek, but try and just be patient. I'm going to be opening the floor to you, ladies and gentlemen. Mudhumeni mukuru, nyaya yema-joint ventures yakamira sei? Vamwe vavana mari, vamwe nungo chaidzo havazozvigoni zvekuita tek nevashandi vachienda kukomboni. Zvinonetsa kutaudzana nevanhu, but land vanayo. Saka pofambiswa sei ipapo? Can someone actually come out in the open pa-agribusiness kuti wadzana ini ndine 200 hectares but kurima shamari kuri kunetsa, nditsvagiro angauya ozondipawo? Can someone be open like that? Because at times vanhu vanototya kuti akangoti ndinapo unobva watotorwa. Zvakamira sei?
Thank you, Adza. Yes, joint venture is one vehicle which eases the pressure from the farmer. There are quite several joint ventures which are there in the country. You find that we have private sector joint venture, we've got mentioned joint venture, and we've got another one, other joint venture. So the private one, we are looking at people where the government actually facilitates the joint venture, signing of the contract or MOU, where you probably identify a partner to farm with, and for you or for your protection as a farmer or landlord, and for the protection of the person who's coming to farm on your piece of land, you go to the government, you introduce yourselves to the government, and they help you to draft a contract which actually binds the two people and which is protecting the two people. So those ventures are ongoing, and if you've got a piece of land, even if you don't have a partner, you go to the government, they've got a list of partners or potential customers whom they will refer to, introduce. If you're happy, then you sign a contract. That's one, private sector, where the government facilitates the signing of the MOU or contract. We've got the merchants one. The merchant one, you find that we've got horticulture, where farmers grow for a merchant who support the production. That is the production, the entire production cost, and then they produce, they sell, and you share the profits depending on the agreement. Right? There is also tobacco on the merchant. There are lots of tobacco merchants who actually contract a farmer to grow tobacco for them, where they will buy from the farmer at competitive prices. That's another one. The other one, you find that the procedure on the other joint venture, let me start by saying for summer, we have a target of growing 100,000 hectares, of which 60,000 we are putting under maize, and it has to be under irrigation and high potential area. And then marginal areas, we are growing sorghum. That's the small grain, which is drought tolerant and it's got good adaptability across all the ecological regions of Zimbabwe. So with that hectarage, you find that agri-techs, being a person on the ground who know their farmers, they are approached by the farmer, where they go and assess if they are happy, they shortlist the person, introduce the person to other officer on the ground, goes for final assessment. When the three agree, they sign a joint venture. And on the joint venture, there is no figure which is fixed in terms of profit sharing. It depends on what the farmer is contributing and what other is coming in with. You might be a farmer who has got land and you are mechanized, but you have run short of capital to establish a crop. That's when other comes in now. So the two are weighed. What resources do you have and what does other have? And you meet halfway and you share the profit at the end of the day. And when it comes to sharing of the profit, in the instance of maize, you find we are saying the maize you are given as a farmer, but other delivers the maize to GMB, because our mandate is to feed the nation. We need to contribute 840,000 metric tons of grain towards the strategic grain reserve. And you find that with the sorghum, it's exactly the same. Where you don't have equipment, other will come in with equipment, will come in with the inputs, will come in with the expertise, where you are going to be helped to grow, so that at least you are, as a farmer, supported by these joint ventures. So they're there, they're happening, and they're there for you farmers to benefit from. Thank you.
Thank you so much Mudumeni Mukuru. In the interest of time, Wendy, ndongoti muchidimbu ndisandaenda kuZFU kuti tivhare tipe questions. Iko kunana SIDCO Wendy and other farming organizations or institutions. Munhu anokwanisa here kuuya unotora mbeu pachikwereti because we want practicality. Kutoti atotora mbeu yake yechibage, atotora mbeu yake yesugar beans, atotora pachikwereti mozomubatira kana season yakunopera. Kune mikana yakadaro here, even for fertilizers, for chemicals. I know that you are not just limited to SIDCO, you also do interact with other institutions, farming institutions in Zimbabwe. Panyaya dzemaloni zvakamira sei muchidimbu ndiri kuzwa panapa kuti nguva yedu yapera.
Ndinotenda. Ndinoziva kuti handidi kuti nditi sevanhu vatema, ndingangoda kuti sevanhu chikwereti tinochida. Saka kuSIDCO ndingangoda kukutaurirai kuti mhando yechikwereti chiriko kune yema-seed growers. Kuti uqualify kuita seed grower unenge uri murimi ane madiridziro, une zvikwanisiro, une midziyo yekuzoshandisa, planter, boom sprayer nechiuchi, madiridziro maybe a minimum of 50 hectares and above. Any seed houses anowanzota irrigation because seed production is a very sensitive area. Saka ndo mhando yechikwereti chiriko. Hatisi kunyanyopa zvikwereti zvakanyanya zvokuti murimi anouya oti ini ndaita dambudziko rakati mukandipa ndodai. Maybe on a case to case basis, but mhando yechikwereti chiripo ndiyoyo. Even kuma fertilizer companies, even nemamwe stakeholders ari muagriculture, zvikwereti zviriko zviri kunyanyouya through the government, through the financiers, through the presidential input programs.
Okay, thank you so much Wendy. KuZFU ndoda kuti titaure muchidimbu pandaa kupendera ndichida kupa floor kune vanga vachiteerera. Panyaya dzema-loans, panyaya dzekupanana zvikwereti paya ndambozvitaura before. Pane panopedzisira pane kakukurumbidziswa, kakumhanyiswa kanoitwa vana baba nana mai kuti dai mabva matosaina i10,000 kai, mobva matobva mukatongorimaka, muri kubva maita 100 tons, mobva madai. And let us not negate the fact yekuti vanhu ava vana baba vari muno zvinhu zvanenge vachiudzwa nawadzanai kana naWendy kana iyo age group yedu iyoyoyo. Yes, some students, some graduates from CAT, from Africa University, he's never planted kana madomasi kumba kwavo, but arikuya arikutoti imimi kurumidzai, ibvai matosaina, ibvai matotora mari. SZFU I understand kuti mune vamwe varimi vamunopedzisira kutomiririra vanenge vakutorerwa dzimba, vakutorerwa zvinhu. Panyaya yekusainwa kwemacontract nekunzwisisa zvikwereti, vane mukana here varimi ava wekuuya kwemuri woti honaiwo zvandanzi ndiite. Verengai mumbondinzwirawo zvanzi ndikavapa mapepa emba ndiri kubva ndatowana izvi ende vachandibata ruoko kusvika 2028 vachange vachibata padiki padiki. Vane mukana here vanhu ava vekukuaprochai tibvise that aspect yekakukurumbidziswa kaika kuti mabva matosaina kurumidzai sainai mhanyai. Even imwe nyaya futi yandingada kuti bva mataura inyaya yemadhumeni azara, madhumeni tawandisa. Ari pano paFacebook ari kuti huyai ndinokudzidzisai, munhu iye ane pamwe 23 years, handisi kuti ndinoda kushora mazera. Ari kuti huyai kumba kwavo havana kana mbudzi, haana chaanonzwisisa naagriculture, but vari kuti huyai ndikuitisei inini, ndine malessons andiri kuitisa pashowground $50 kupinda, huyai ndiite nemi mushroom, hamunobva matoziva. SZFU matambudziko arimo iwayo ekuti targeted clientele yevana ivavo ndo vanhu vakagara muno mavo, ndo maclients avo. Saka ivo maclients aya mapei mashoko echenjedzo pari panyaya yekuita part with their hard earned money, part with their pension yavakatanga kutangira kushandira pamwe 1992 tisati tatombo.
Sure, thank you. To respond to what this question is, we have the farmers who come to ZFU and seek advice. And some, they go into the contracts, and then when it becomes difficult for them, they will now seek for advice from ZFU. So those are the two types of the farmers that we also have. But let me say to you as my colleagues, because I'm also stepping into that phase of being a retiree. ZFU is there for us, and it's there for you as an individual. It's just your attitude, your behavior, how you take it as it is. But we also have some lessons that we provide to our clientele And our clientele is not limited. We have the small scale, the medium, the large scale farmers. So we provide that information to everyone. We have the contracts, they come in different forms, and we always advise the farmers to seek advice before signing, because most of these contracts, when it comes to the, you call them the terms and conditions, the font will be very small, smaller for you to read even if you are putting on your glasses. So what you'll do is, because you are just making a hurried decision, you always go and sign because you are looking at that bag of fertilizer that you don't have at that moment, but not knowing that you lose your house, which you have worked for 16 or 20 years. So the contract negotiation and skills, we have it as a training with the Zimbabwe Farmers Union. You are always welcome to come to that. And I also advise you to get information from reputable sources. Please, I'm also asking for those people. Yes, I know social media is there, and at times it's very difficult to control social media. People, they want to test, and then when they fail, they now look for advice after that. But it's also good to consult the extension officers who are in the area, some of the retirees. They have the knowledge and the information. So let's use that experience. Experience is a good teacher, and we always welcome those experiences in our agriculture journey. Thank you.
Before we call on FBC to close, I would just want to give a platform, kune 2 or 3 vanema burning questions, and let us remember to be respectful in our questions, not attacking or imposing ourselves. And also question yacho yakato directwa kune veZFU kana kuna mudhumeni mukuru kana kuti kuna Wendi, kana paine vane mibvunzo kana pasina, then the FBC can come forward.
Mubvunzo wangu uri kuna mudhumeni mukuru. Mudhumeni, nyaya yema title deeds yakamira sei kumapurazi uku, especially kuma newly resettled farmers. Tichikura isaiziva kuti kana uine title deed unogona kuenda kumabhengi kwana AFC wamuri kutaura unokwereta ma-inputs. Tisingamirire zvedu mamwe ma-inputs ariko izvozvi. Saka toda kuziva kuti zvakambomira sei maererano nenyaya yema-99 yelise anorambwa nemabhengi aya. Yakamira sei nyaya yema-title deeds? Ndatenda.
Thank you so much. Umwe mubvunzo zvakare kuti izongopindurwe pamwe chete tisave time. Vane Mike vane mubvunzo, yes.
Pane nyaya yelabor yambobuda. Farming is hard, and kuma retirees, it's actually difficult to go and work in the field. So at the same time, we realize that the youths have migrated from the farming areas or the rural areas to go and seek for the so-called greener pastures elsewhere, leaving these elderly people to battle with crop production or livestock production. Now, what we want to understand from government is, do we have any special arrangements for service provision in terms of like low-cost mechanization? We are not talking about the big machines, the big tractors that are very expensive, but can we facilitate like, you know, a system where people can pay a fee and the service can be provided to these farmers. Then I also wanted to understand, maybe from ZFU, the impact of drug and substance abuse on retirees. What is the situation out there? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Final question. Pane vari kumaoko enyu handisi kunyatsoona yese.
Yeah, kuno.
Pane nevari pamberi apo mozovapawo maiki. Vamwe vacho. Oh, okay, ndekupi?
Kuno kumsoro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for the presentations. Yes, after all has been said, we are looking at climate change effects and impact. Murumisi Mkuru, what advice, what motivation or motivational factors can you give kune my farmers so that whatever they're going to do is going to be sustainable? Tikatora muenzaniso wataurwa nawe nduya wafama for 12 months zvake aisa bhoo rake pamwe kuda akatarisa akati my climate change zvairi kuita izvi pamwe farming it may not help me. So Murisi Mkuru, what can you say? Thank you.
Mazvita ndopedzisira nevari pamberi ndine urombo vamwe muchapuwa nhamba dzedu ndofunga dzangu munadzo pamwe dzawendi munadzo ZFU munadzo dzamudhumeni mukuru munadzo taurai zvenyu.
Ndinotenda nyaya yandinofunga kuti huru ndeye support system. Tichikura isu kwaive nemadhumeni aigara mumacommunities nedzimba dzavo vachiita maregular visits kana kuti weekly kana kuti 2 weeks muchiita misangano tichiona nemaparents vachimita regularly vachiweka nemaward chairman nemalands development officers vainzi vana LDO kuchiitwa magreenfield days akawanda vachiuya veagritech varipo veveti varipo zvichidaro. Mazuvano dzimba dzaigara madhumeni angove matangwaza, hapana mudhumeni unogarapo. Vakaenda kumataundi, vari kushanda nemacommunities vari kumataundi. Zvimudhudhudhu zvamakavapa tozviziva kuti makavapa, asi vanokuudza kuti handina fuel yokuuyako. Saka kana tisina system, support system, handivoni tichiinda kure nemhaka yekuti varimi vose vanoda kusapotwa nevanhu ndofunga kuti macivil servants kana kuti vachiri macivil servants, asi behavior yavari kuita ndeyekutoti handina fuel, zvakafanana nemapurisa, handina mota. Saka zvatoperaka, mhosva yatoparwa, vapari vaenda. tinoda support, iwe hauna fuel, asi une chimudhudhudhu wakapaka kutaundi kumba kwako. Saka munofunga kuti tingabudirira here mukurima? Ndatenda.
Thank you, ndotenda zvikuru. Nyaya yema-title deeds, I think tose toziva kuti minda takapiwa tanga tisina, tantine ma-99 year lease, wamwe ma-99 year lease tantisina, zvekuti tsamba dzatinadzo dzeminda, they are not bankable, zvekuti mabhanga anogona kutipa mari basing on that tichinzi ndo collateral. But you find kuti from the last sitting dzekuparliament, inyaya yanga yakudhibhetwa zvekuti zvinhu zviri kufambiswa zvapedyo kunzi minda inge ichiwana ma-title deeds so that they are bankable and they are transferable. Then contact dzema-VBUs, ma-village business units, tinonobatana tikapinda munzvimbo dzedu mucommunity kune leadership iriko mukaita inquire ma-village business units, ma-directors ndo community, ma-directors wama-leadership emucommunity zvinobva pana chifi nekunana sabhuku, and then ma-shareholders is the community. So mukasvika kunzvimbo yenyu mukaona wakuru wenyu monzwisa kuti nyaya dzema-VBUs dzakamira sei, structure yacho yakamira sei, and then mo-includewawo kuti munge muchipinda imomo kana iri zoni yenyu. Kana isiri moenda kuzoni yenyu mononzwisisa. Kana maona kuti zvanetsa, aiwa munogona kuuya kuADA, ADA inokubatsirai kupai direction yekuti ndiani ari on the ground wamuona achizokubatsirai kuti munge muchikwanisa kupinda muma-VBUs iwaya. Low cost mechanization hongu kune tutractor tuduku turiko twekuti tikaenda ku-mechanization department reku-ministry turiko tunenge tuchiwanikwa, uyezve kune makambani ari kuitawo futi zvakare tumatractor tuduku itotu tukanatsokwana. Mukaenda ku-ministry grandibatanidzei ne-mechanizing your farm pamachinery, munoona kuti pane matractor atoripo mahombe ariko anenge achida deposit shomanana yakafanana ne$700 wopuwa 4 years dzekuti unge uchibhadhara. Saka munhu kana une irrigation kana kuti kuchinaya ukakwanisa kurima wabhadhara 700 4 years to pay the figure yacho, aiwa munenge makuona kuti mimi zvinhu zviri nyore zvinenge zviri kuti mukwanise kubatsirikana nenyaya dzekurima. AFC ADA, you find kuti kune program ye-tillage facility yamunokwanisa kuya muchinohaya zvinhu zvekushandisa, moshandisa musina kubhadhara kana senti, makohwa zvinhu zvazoenda muzotanga kubhadhara. Ndo imwe support iriko ku-mechanization iyoyo. Tozoti su ma-contacts, I think secretariat, can we leave that to you mozoshare ma-contacts edu now? Wabvuma hanzi vachazokupai ma-contacts secretariat. And then tozoti susu nyaya dzemaziga hanzi ma-fertilizer ma-inputs ari kunziwo toda iri US. Mutemo handisandaunzwa, ini ndoziva kuti mari dzese zigi nedzimwe mari dzakanzi dzinoshanda dzichiri kushandiswa, zvekuti ukaenda ukanobhadhara unogona kuswaipa uchishandisa zigi rako. Mukaona kuti munhu iye aramba, it's either kune zvinhu zviviri, moripota ku-reserve bank kana kuti momusiya motsvaga kune mumwe ari kuda kuita business nemi. Tozoti mechanized irrigation. Yanga ni madrugs. Yeah, all right. Mirai pane. Kozoti ko nyaya ye how to get mechanization and implements taitaura. Madhumeni ekunzi tine madhumeni ari munzvimbo dzedu asiri kushandisa midhudhudhu, wakamuvha wakaenda mumatowns, waakushandisa community kuti vanga vachiita basa neremote. Vanhu ivava kutaura chokwadi dzimba dzavo dzofanira kunge dzichiriko. Mukaona mudhumeni abva, kazhinji anenge akatowanawo musha munzvimbo yakatowaka musha wake, asi kana zvanzi akutauni akugara mamutare instead of kwachigodora, tinoona isusu kuti aiwa mune kodzero yekuripota munhu iyeye opuhwa warning kana kuti disciplinary action inogona kutorwa kumunhu akadaro, nokuti basa rake nderi kugara munzvimbo yaanoshandira, haabvumirwi kunge achigara kure nekwanoshandira. Saka iyo inenge itori mhosva, munenge matobatsirawo zvikuru kuti vanhu ava vange vachigara munzvimbo dzavo dzavanoshandira. Nyaya yekushayiwa fuel ichokwadi, dzimwe nguva unoona madhumeni mudhudhudhu uripo chokwadi, asi hauna fuel yekushandisa. Sakawo munenge muchitawo bear with such madhumeni, vamwe unozoona kufamba netsoka malong distances, vamwe vachishandisa mari dzavo kukwira mabhazi vachienda kumeeting. Nenguva yakunaya inoiwa vamwe avoid kushandisa midhudhudhu yacho atoshandisawo public transport. Saka kana pane nzira dzekubatsirana nawo, aiwa sevarimi munogona kuuyawo nemaideas ekuti tadii kudai kuitira kuti mudhumeni zvimurerukire. Survey before market hongu tinoona isusu kuti tine bato reAMA. AMA yakagadzirwa kushanda nevarimi, while vamwe vari kuita zvese zvavanenge vachiita. AMA mukaenda ikoko, AMA ine list dzenyika dzepasi rose dzine maproducer vari kuda butternut, cucumber, green meal, babycon yatataura, nyimo chadzo UK dziri pademand, beef, goat meat, all those things. Saka weAMA even muno watori nearea dzinotozikanwa kuti kwakati hakuna chakati, kwakanodiwa chakati. Saka imi mukaenda kuAMA vanotibatsira nelist yezvinhu zvekurima nenguva yekuzvirima, votipawo netentative price yekuti chinozobhadharwa mari yakati yekuti iyo aiwa imi semuri mune makurima maakunatsoziva. Saka weAMA ndo iAgricultural Marketing Authority ndo vanokwanisa kutibatsira nenyaya dzekuti chii chandingarime nguva ipi. Ende iyo graph yatanchitaura iyeye, pane kuti munoita survey yenyu mega muchiita come up with your graph kumbare, munogona kuenda kuAMA wokupaiwo chii that facility yekuti munge muchikwanisa kulinkwa nemamarkets, zviri zvinhu zvinozokubatsirai. Climate change egrandinzwe wendikanapindura kana pane zvaanenge asiyirira ndichatora futi chindozopedzesa mazvipi.
Wendy, 30 seconds. Drug and substance abuse, 30 seconds.
Thank you. Ndoda kungoti inini panyaya yeclimate change iri kubata tese varimi, but my word of encouragement ndeyekuti ngatisarasa tariro, because farming is a profession yekuti umwe mwaka unonaka umwe mwaka zvinopotsa. Izvezvi kuri kutyisa kuenda kumunda, ndiri kutotyawo kuenda kwangu nekuti changu chibage changa chakuda kuiswa topu, asi hatiregi, hatiputsi mbere, hatirasi mbereko nekufirwa. Tofanira kuramba tiri optimistic, nekuti ndishandise mashoko aWill Rogers akati the farmer has to be an optimist or you wouldn't still be a farmer, because iprofession ichada kuramba iripo, population iri kukura, maindustry ari kukura, raw material nechikafu charamba zvichidiwa. Saka ngatirambe tirimo muindustry yekurima. Kunyange climate change iripo, ngatitsvake nzira dzekunavigata tirimo kuti tirambe tichienda mberi.
Drug and substance abuse.
Okay, ndisati ndaenda padrug, ZFU also have a weekly market guide yatinoshare nemafarmers. It's also a platform inogona kubatsirai. Ndoenda padrug.
Inowanikwa kupi weekly market guide?
It's on social media or my emails, saka iri easily accessible. Mukawana ma contacts edu aya, you will always get it. So on drug and substance abuse to the retirees, yes, it is there, because retirement offers freedom. And for me, retirement should be something which should give a purpose of life for somebody. So you need to take care of this moment where if I refer to yesterday's discussion where you said you need to structure your day. You also need to put that into consideration. And at times, as someone who is on retirement, you need to have, when you are doing your entrepreneurship, you need to have concentration and relaxation, as retirement is part of your life where you will not get a day off unless you give yourself the day off. So the relaxation part of it is needed. So the other thing is also you need to have like a positive image in the society. At times when you are going to get into the society that you have not been used to be, you just want to isolate yourself, have a positive mind, and also have the right connections with you. Haungaiti zvekuti iwe uri shiri woda kunoita ushamwari nefish, musi wainobuda mvura ushamwari hwenyu hune husisipo. Mazvita.
Thank you so much for that. Mudumeni mukuru tivharirei 30 seconds FBC vachibva vauya.
Aiwa, ndotenda zvikuru. Panyaya yemiti ye-climate change, wedway, pane nzira dzatairima nadzo dzaitibatsira kuchengetedza mvura asi takasiyana nadzo nenyaya yekuda mashortcuts. Ndiri kutini kana taakuronga kurima ngatishandise mitigation measures arimwe kuti mvura kana yatiza aiwa tinobatsirikana. One, tiri kuti kana tikwanisa ita mabhoho kana tine madhamu ngatiite irrigation, ndonzira one yekugadzirisa nyaya ye-climate change. Chepiri, nyaya yekugadzirisa ivhu redu rinotibatsira kuti tichengetedze mvura zvakanyanya. Ivhu redu harisisina charinacho, zvakafanana nekuti munda ukangorimwa usina kana sora kana mashanga aiswa muvhu, hapana kuchengeta kwanoita mvura, hapana kushandisa kwanoita mafertilizer zvakakwana. Saka winter plow chinhu chinotibatsira kugadzirisa mamiriro ekunze, kutema miti, kupisa sora ngatigadzirise izvozvo, reclamation of maflays ngatigadzirise izvozvo, and then nyaya yekukohwa mvura inonaya yese mumunda, storm drain trenching, contour trenching, tie ridging, potholing, nekudyara mbeu inoenderana nedunhu rako nanapfumvudza, zero tillage, mechanized. Nzira dziripo dzekutiza climate change tichitobuda tichitowina chikafu chakanyanya. Zvekuti yes climate change iriko, but sevanhu tine nzira dzatinadzo dzekuita escape that tichiwana goho rakanaka. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, FBC. Mova matipenderera this session as we go for a 5-minute break ahead of a fresh session.